from Redondo Beach, California. Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, is it fatigue resistance rather than pure power? Which is the difference between winning and losing pro bike races? Researchers think that they've got the answer.
I'll tell you what, long-term GCN viewers will already be well aware that fatigue resistance is key, won't they? We've also got chains made with diamonds, money for a new e-bike in exchange for your old car, recycling cranks to make power meters, and some bad news, Si. World Naked Bike Ride Day has been cancelled.
Oh, that is bad news.
It's going to be a good show, Si, isn't it? It's a cracking joke.
Yeah.
This week, in the world of cycling, we learned that even bending the new UCI rules will still get you disqualified.
That's right, Richard Carapaz was apparently using the new Super Tuck on Sunday in Liège-Bastogne-Liège whilst on a solo breakaway.
Yeah. Super Tuck, nah. Parked cars at the side of the road at the Tour of the Alps, no problem at all.
We also learned that even top pro riders can succumb to horrific bouts of cramp. I think all of us watching Liège-Bastogne-Liège on Sunday felt for poor Loic Vliegen, who was leading the race solo before coming to a complete standstill, basically.
Ouch. I know how that feels, Si, blimey.
Well, except for the leading Liège-Bastogne-Liège solo part.
Do you know what? I could see that coming. I still walked straight into that.
Now, we also learned that with the cycling world turning to tubeless, does the inner tube need to evolve to survive? Well, Tubolito thinks so. They've just launched the world's first smart inner tube. Yeah.
I've always been waiting for the smart inner tube.
Yep.
In fact, it's so smart, it tells an app on your phone how much pressure is in the tube, and it only costs $50 per tube.
Wow, bargain. Now, the good news is that the smart tech doesn't need a battery, so it won't ever go flat. However, the tube itself can do.
Go flat.
Yes. Now, finally this week, we learned that the secret to cycling performance could be something which can't actually be measured yet. Fatigue resistance, or put another way, how much power you can still produce even after loads of hard riding.
Not much if you've just got cramp like Vliegen in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. But yes, this popped onto our radars this week thanks to a fantastic article on Outside Online from Alex Hutchinson. He cites a piece of research from Peter Leo and James Spragg, published in the Journal of International Sports Physiology and Performance.
That is one of my absolute favourites, Dan. I'm an avid subscriber.
I thought you would be, Si.
Yep.
Anyway, it analysed data from a load of pro cyclists at the Tour of the Alps, which is a particularly mountainous but short stage race.
Yeah, so they split the riders up into specialities, so like GC, climber, domestique, etc., and also whether they were World Tour riders or continental level riders, and then they looked at their power profiles, which are basically their maximum power values for certain durations.
Yeah, so 5-second power, for example, right through to 30 minutes.
Yeah, and then they looked at how those power profiles changed relative to how much work they'd already done. So basically, how far through the stage they were. When fresh, all the riders had similar values, but as the race went on, some riders were able to maintain more of their power than others.
So the conclusion was that general classification riders can maintain very close to their peak power values, even very deep into a really tough stage. Whereas on the other hand, domestiques and less experienced riders see a greater deterioration.
Yeah, now there is a slight flaw in the logic here, in that to a certain extent, race tactics dictate what power a rider produces at the early part of a stage. So everyone only has to ride as hard as they need to in order to stay with the race. But often that part of the race does see the biggest power numbers.
This means that all riders will have similar power numbers when they're fresh, of course, but the best riders might simply not have to try as hard as some of the others, saving their big efforts for later in the stages where I guess it really counts. However, the same kind of research is being done in running at the moment.
It is, yeah. So again, according to Alex Hutchinson, research off the back of Nike's Breaking 2 Hours for a Marathon quest showed the same trend, but in a much more controlled environment. So the best marathon runners can't apparently be quantified through their VO2 max or their running economy or their critical power or pace or whatever runners do. but it's how they can maintain all three of those despite mounting fatigue.
Or not injure their ankles.
Exactly,
like
yeah.
It is super interesting though, isn't it? Not least because it's something that has often been assumed in pro cycling, but never really measured. The riders that can win week-long stage races are not necessarily the ones that can win the 3-week Grand Tours, despite very impressive power numbers. And perhaps, most importantly, the ones that can win stages and one-day races are not necessarily the ones that can win monuments, such as Paris-Roubaix, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, or indeed, as we saw on Sunday, Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Yeah, so 2 examples of riders for you. Alexander Kristoff, Norwegian tough guy. He looks comparatively better in races the longer and tougher they are. Contrastingly though, his compatriot Edvald Boasson Hagen, despite being one of the strongest, fastest riders on his day, has never won a monument, and I don't think he's ever really got close to winning a monument,
Not
has he?
really, and time's running out for him, isn't
Yeah.
it? So I guess you'll be asking yourselves, what does this mean for me? Well, firstly, you've got to say that this is one of the biggest arguments for increasing the distance of at least some of the women's World Tour races. They're currently a little bit too short, really, for pure fatigue resistance, aren't they, to play too much of a part in the outcome. And I guess it'd be nice to have some monuments, really, on the women's calendar too, wouldn't it, in terms of their distance?
It would indeed. Secondly, if you're predicting race winners, having a little flutter, you have to factor fatigue resistance in. So not all riders can hold their form beyond 200 kilometres. And actually, another great example, a rider like Andrew Feather, who, as many of you will know, is a star of a GCN Plus documentary and also the ace climber in our beginner, amateur, pro hill climb videos, he can produce truly world-class power, but wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed to fly in a World Tour setting.
Partly he hasn't had the chance, has he?
He hasn't yet.
Anyway. Thirdly, what about your own riding? How do you know if you've got this hidden talent?
Well, given that it isn't something that can actually directly be measured yet, we don't really know. It's definitely something that's trainable, isn't it? Now, in part, that's why pro cyclists do such huge kilometres in training. It might not boost their power numbers, but it does mean that they can do the power numbers that they have with hundreds and hundreds of kilometres in their legs.
Didn't work for me, though.
No.
It's also why a rider can have amazing power numbers in training, but then not convert that when it comes to racing.
Yeah. What did you say about Phil Gaiman?
Oh.
No, that's low blow.
It could also mean, though, that you should experiment with the type of riding that you're doing when you're out training. So it might be too late to become a World Tour pro, for example, but maybe you've got a natural talent for grueling ultra-endurance events.
Yeah, that would be a real shame, wouldn't it?
How come?
Well, grueling ultra-endurance events are so hard and so long, they blatantly hurt way more than any other type of cycling. Plus, they're really time-consuming. You need to spare 124 days and 11 hours to ride around the world faster than Jenny Graham. And that's just the main event.
Well, if you go faster, it might be 123.
Okay.
But it is a good point. I would imagine discovering that you were good at ultra-endurance events. That's a bit like finding out that you've got a natural talent for hanging weights off your scrotum, isn't it?
Yeah, quite. I even had Hank moaning to me earlier, saying how he was really tired and he couldn't motivate himself to train for his next world record.
Wasn't anything to do with scrotums and weights, was it?
No, it wasn't, no.
Anyway, poor guy. What did you say back to him?
I said that it could be worse. He could be hanging weights off his old boy. So just crack on and give the viewers what they want, basically.
I need to get a new saddle.
Pass me out.
Fair. Now let us know what you think about this fatigue resistance subject. Have you noticed it out on your local group rides? Do you think you might have those hidden depths in yourself?
Well, yeah, and do make sure that you check out those articles from Alex Hutchinson. He is definitely worth a follow on Twitter. You can find him at Sweat Science. Even though most of it is about running, a lot of what he writes about is transferable to cycling, and it's all super interesting.
With a handle like at Sweat Science, I definitely think you should give him a follow sign.
Well, I've been
that
following
pink
him for a
t-shirt
long
might
time.
make a return yet, mightn't it?
No, it won't.
Still stained.
No comment.
Next up, as you'd expect, it's time for your weekly GCN Inspiration, where we pick our favourite 3 photos or videos that have been uploaded to the GCN app. 3 that inspire us to get out on our bikes and hopefully that do the same for you.
Yeah, no videos this week, Dan, but 3 absolutely banging photos, some of our best yet. I hazard a guess and say. Anyway, in third, winning a GCN Elite water bottle, red one, mine, is this from Gonzalo R. How cool is that? Into the sunshine, lockdowns, bad weather, loads of indoor cycling, make an outside ride with such a special and pleasant moment. With a sunset like this, it's a reminder to be thankful for being able to ride my bike and get the feeling of the wind in my hair. And that's from the riverside of Douro, Porto, Portugal.
Well, yeah.
You're wondering?
I just read where the picture was taken, and I can't help but think about bad weather during lockdowns. It's a bit like us preaching to Canadians about how bad winter is in the UK.
That is a good point. Yeah, I heard it rained a couple of times in winter.
Nevertheless,
in Portugal.
cracking photos, all the same. So well done to you, Gonçalo. In second, well, they'll get a GCN Elite water bottle in red plus a GCN Word logo t-shirt. And it goes to someone who's been lobbying me on Twitter. That's the last time it's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
Don't bombard me with requests to get onto GCN Inspiration. But it was a cracking photo.
It is yes, it's a cracking photo. I think we'll all agree. This is not some kind of like political sleaze thing that's dogging the UK media at the minute.
But I do look forward to keeping half the prize.
Anyone can tweet Dan about photos on GCN Inspiration.
Yeah, or any just general complaints, really. Anyway, it goes to CP67, Welsh Mountain Views. Tuesday evening ride up Cwncan Scenic Drive with the guys on fresh tarmac chasing the gate to Hut KOM. Nothing better than a South Wales sunset dropping in behind the valley whilst you can see rain in the far distance.
That's right. Normally, in South Wales valleys, you can see rain with a sunset in the far distance, can't you?
Well, you can't often see the sunset.
Good point. Normally, you just see rain.
Normally, you can't see the far distance in Wales.
No. Anyway, that is an absolute perler of a photo, isn't it? You should be totally proud of that one. CP67, whoever you are. Amazing. But you haven't won, I'm sorry to say, despite all the intense lobbying.
We won something, just not the top prize.
Well, yeah, good point. You've only won second, which, as we all know, is the first loser. But first place this week, winning a GCN Core Red sweatshirt, a GCN Elite water bottle in red, and a GCN Cobble Classic t-shirt in maroon, is this one from Mr. Wayne. Look at that. He said, I was out trying my hand at nightscape photography when a group of cyclists came hurtling my way. Now, I hope the camera was big, because otherwise I'd be wondering what you were doing loitering around down there. But anyway, with mega bright lights and high vis glowing, I thought this would make for a good long exposure. Here's the result. Boom.
Wow.
That is cool, isn't it?
It's very cool, isn't it? I mean, you can't really see the cyclists, of course, but we will take your word for it that they are there.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose technically it's not massively inspirational, is it? But
it's just a photo
it's
competition.
Just a great photo.
Send in your photos of the wildlife in your local area. You might win GCN Inspiration next week.
We've just got to take his word for it that they were cyclists.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't make a habit of it, but we thought that was a fantastic photo that you would like us to share with you. And if you've got any photos that will inspire us to ride that you would like to share with us, you know how to do it. Just upload into the GCN app and we'll pick our favourite 3 this time next week.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we will start with news of cycling without shorts, or indeed any other clothing.
Indeed. It is with great sadness that we bring you the news that Portland's World Naked Bike Ride has been cancelled this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Ever so sorry about that.
Yeah. Now, the good news is that they are still encouraging us all to do our own solo naked bike rides on every full moon from May through to August.
The full moon rides.
Well, indeed.
I've got 2 thoughts on this subject and this news, Si.
Go on.
Firstly, I reckon that if I rode naked, I'm pretty sure it would be a solo ride, whether or not that was my intention. And secondly, I just wonder whether the organisers could, in fact, go ahead with the planned group ride if each participant used not just 1 face mask, but 2.
Covering all bases, as it were.
Exactly, yes.
Well, moving on, if you are a resident of France, some good news now. You are being incentivised to get rid of your car and buy an e-bike to the tune of €2,500.
I'd have thought when I read this as well, Si, that if you resided in France, that would be around a €2,000 profit on your car. So it's a shame you don't live there, really.
Well, indeed, it would have done, yeah. Money-making business. In all seriousness, you've got to say, that does sound like a great idea.
It does,
doesn't it? The aim being to reduce carbon emissions to the level they were in 1990 by 2030.
To think we didn't know how good we had it in the 90s, listening to 2 Unlimited. No. Sticking with saving the environment, 4i are offering to buy your old cranks rather than throwing them away. They'll then clean them up, inspect them for damage, before converting them into a power meter, which has an apparent accuracy of plus or minus 1%.
Nice. Now, if eligible, you will receive some money, not €2,500, unfortunately, but $30 or €45 that you can then choose to donate to charity, if you so wish.
Yeah. Moving on, Strava have come up with a pretty cool update and a feature which they've called Terrain Mode, which is effectively a 3D overlay of your personal heat map. And it looks pretty funky. Here's one of my rides, Si, from North Wales a couple of years back, for example.
But I thought you'd use one of your stages from the 2009 Giro d'Italia when you were riding for Cervelo testing.
Well, not surprisingly, I did try that, but apparently the heat map doesn't allow me to go back that far. Which is ironic, in fact, because that was when I was my hottest, on my bike at least.
I'll take your word for it. If you want all the juicy details, DC Rainmaker, as ever, has written a great article about it. Now, those of you who have been watching our racing on GCN Plus may well have heard Adam Blythe using a term that many of you won't have heard before to describe a rider that is flying.
They've got diamonds in their legs today. Flipping heck, it's Adam Blythe.
That's the one. Well, Silka have taken it one step further and they've put actual diamonds on a chain.
My word. Gangster rappers are going to be all over this, aren't they? And now, before any gangster rappers currently watching this get too excited,
There'll be a lot of those.
Yep, I'll give you the finer details. What Silka are actually doing are diamond polished, tungsten disulfide treated and waxed chains.
So no diamonds on the chain then?
No.
No, that's a shame. Any dentists now watching, by the way, are getting excited because this sounds expensive. They are indeed expensive. $225 to $260 per chain, but that chain will be up to 30% more efficient than the next most efficient chain on the market, allegedly.
Although, before you get too excited about that, it apparently equates to 0.6 to 0.8 watts of an advantage.
Money can't buy you happiness, but it can almost buy you a whole watt. Finally, if you're getting a bit bogged down with your numbers on Zwift.
My numbers are actually too small to get bogged down with these days, I think.
Well, anyway, this still might be of interest to you, Dan, because... well, frankly, those numbers must be depressing to look at. But now you don't have to look at them. In fact, you don't have to look at anything whilst you're Zwifting other than Zwift. So if you've updated to the latest version of Zwift, you'll be able to hide all of your data, everything on screen, basically allowing you just an uninterrupted view of wherever you're riding, Watopia or one of the other worlds. And you can do that in all modes except for workouts and group workouts. So it allows you to just relax and do your own thing and enjoy your very slow ride, Dan.
Thanks, Si. All I need, I guess, is Sony to do a camera update which now hides the bags under my eyes and my receding hairline. Happy days.
Yeah, and your big nose.
You always have to take things one step too far, don't it? All right, hide your ankles as well then. You're going down that route.
That's what the table's for. Anyway, I'm not letting you get the last word again, Dan.
I never have the last word.
We actually need quite a few more words. Anyway, to be fair, because it's time to announce some winners of our giveaway and a new giveaway too.
Almost forgot about this, that's very true. So first up, the winners of our Victoria giveaway, the prize being a pair of road airliners, some sealant and some pliers. Winners are Than Nut Tran, Teg Jaff, Chris Hitchcock, Thomas Hall and Matthew Martin. Now, here is another cool giveaway too. So Alterlock is a really neat bit of tech that fits under a bottle cage and is a bike alarm and tracking device at the same time.
Yeah, so potentially ideal for the calf stop. Or it just works with an app on your phone, basically. So the alarm deters the would-be thief if your bike gets moved ever so slightly. You also get a notification at the same time on your phone, so you can quickly get back to it. But if you were unable to get back to it, I don't know, maybe you're on the loo or something, and the thief does make off with your bike, you'll be able to see where it ends up because there's a built-in GPS tracker as well.
We've actually got 10 of these to give away, and they're worth £115 each, or €135. And you'd also get a year's free subscription, which is usually £35 or €40.
Bonus. There's also a link to enter in the description, but I think it's worth taking a look at their website as well, because it is pretty cool. I mean, this Alterlock thing weighs just 50 grams, but it packs a lot of features and a lot of tech into it.
Hack / Bodge of the week now. We've got a lot to get through, so we'll crack straight on with the first one that came in from Thaddeus Maximus. Gentleman came into the shop complaining that his shifter wasn't working. He said he shoved a stick in the rear derailleur so he didn't have to pedal over in the hardest gear. We replaced his cable and the bike was golden. No more stick mano.
There we go. That's a genius little hack, that one. We saw the stick in the front derailleur last week. Actually, no, it was a champagne cork. I made that mistake last week. Champagne cork in the front derailleur to get around a broken cable. I've never thought you could do it in your rear cable, your rear derailleur as well, but there we go.
Well, it would work, wouldn't it? I mean,
it would work. Of course it would, mate. Genius. It would.
My best work comes when I least, when I'm not even expecting to do it. It's not even deliberate.
There we go.
Anyway, I'm going to say Bodge, despite the fact that it works.
It's not the best broken gear cable hack we've seen, is it? No, fair enough. Yeah, that's a Bodge, that one. Right,
62% went with Bodge before we move on to
yeah, good point. Sorry. This one sent in from Andrew Froreich, who has sent in this rather nice wind chime / nest holder. I don't know quite what the nest holder bit is, but wind chimes I get.
Is that a bird, isn't it?
No bird would sit there, surely.
What is it? Looks like a bird when you zoom in.
What? Well, there we go. Maybe it is. Maybe
like a
that's
hummingbird. Wouldn't be a hummingbird in there, surely.
I don't know. We need someone with some wildlife credentials down.
Anyway, it looks nice. I expect it to make some nice sounds in the wind, Si.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really thought about turning a cassette into a wind chime before.
No, me neither. But, well, I'd quite like to have one of those. I'll go with a hack.
Are you going to say hack?
Only because I've just seen the results and I want to go with the majority.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I'll go with the hack as well. Peer pressured into it.
75% of you said hack for that one. Moving on to Velo Addict, tandem ? Spotted locally outside Brassneck Brewery. After a few pints, this could be an interesting ride. Well, it could be an interesting ride before a few pints.
Absolutely.
I don't know how myself and Si would get on trying to pedal that contraption there.
No, have you seen it? It's got normal pedals, so you get one pedal each.
No, it's got 2 pedals on each side.
No, it hasn't, is it?
I think so, yeah. It's like a crank that goes down, a bit that goes along, and a crank that goes up, and a pedal in each one. So you can still pedal.
I've had to zoom in.
I don't know if that would help us having 2 pedals on each side in this particular instance, Si.
I don't know how that even works. My mind is blown.
Well, if you've got any videos of somebody riding said contraption, please send them in.
No, let's go one better than that, Dan. If you have one of these contraptions, we need to ride
send it to Hank.
Yeah. To be fair, mate, I'd go on one of those. Although, you presumably need to be the same kind of weight. We're probably a similar weight these days. My ankles.
Does the physics work? I guess. Don't know. Answer on a postcard again. We're a similar weight, aren't we?
Yeah, apart from my ankles, I reckon. Then but then, your massive biceps probably outweigh those. So. Anyway, I'm going to say hack for that one. I think that's a great way of getting around.
Bodge.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, 22% of you said hack, so down to the majority again. Right then, what about this one from KCharm1? Homemade bike stand, the front wheel bike stand this time. Bike stands online seem stupidly expensive, so I copied the design of one I liked using spare lumber.
Presumably you can put the rear wheel in it as well.
Yep, presumably you could. Spare lumber, who's got that lying around? But nice job by the look of it.
It's a very, very neat job.
Nice
I'm going to go with
edges.
hack for that.
Yep, I'm going to say hack for that as well.
Well, you are in the majority this time, Si. 94%.
Wow.
Biggest majority yet. Next up, we had this one that came in from RB74. Gravel saved the ride. Broken cable to the rear mech using small stone to set the mech in a lower gear worked very well. Last 50 k's of the ride with a 2x1 drivetrain and getting some personal records because I had to push harder than I normally do. Well, we've had a stick. And I deemed that a bodge, so I don't think I can upgrade it to a hack with it being a stone.
Well, no, but I've never seen that done before. So I'm enjoying that new roadside hack. I've got to say, like, if of all the rear derailleur,
it's the neatest, I guess. It looked far neater than a stick.
Yeah, and that's quick as well, particularly if you're riding gravel.
Yeah, well, and you got some PRs, so all right, I'll go with hack then.
I think hack, yeah.
Only because I saw the result again. 76% going with hack for that one.
Right, now here's one that could well divide opinion. By Two Tatis has sent in this toilet roll holder. My wife needs persuading that this quirky idea is a winner for the bathroom. If I can get a favourable 70% or greater hack advocacy, we're in. Help out a fellow cyclist in need. All this great idea will be flushed away.
He's on the edge. 71% at the moment, so we better both vote for him.
Yeah. I mean, you are going to need to have a think about this if you do fully go for it, because obviously one of those toilet rolls you can replace easily. because there's a window behind it. The other one, you're going to need an Allen
The other
key.
one's permanently there,
Yeah.
gradually decaying. And,
Exactly.
discolouring.
Yeah.
Well, presumably you can undo the stem bolt and.
Well, that's what I mean. You need an Allen key every
Takes
time you
a
want to
while.
change your toilet roll. And
Imagine
also,
if that was the only toilet roll left and you'd gone into the toilet, done your stuff, and you didn't have an Allen key with you.
it'd be annoying,
Well, I
wouldn't
guess no, that wouldn't make any difference, would it? You could still get the toilet roll off. I'm speaking absolute rubbish.
it? Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Anyway, I will go with hat just to help a man out.
You need to get good flexibility to get the bog roll.
I
wouldn't
think
you?
we're overthinking this song. Finally, for this week, Alistair R. Pet safe indoor trainer. My daredevil cat has been getting a little too comfortable around the indoor trainer, occasionally making a dash between the front wheel and the crank. To stop her from getting injured and to allow me to focus 100% on my efforts, I built a barricade out of Perspex. She's not happy about it, but I can no longer kick her.
Hey!
What a pun to finish on.
Nice. You know, I'm going to say hack, by the way. for
Yeah,
that.
me too.
That happened to me in real life with a deer once. Have I ever told you about me running over a deer story?
No, we've recounted my own bunny rabbit story on the road. Was it squirrel? Can't remember now. Probably
Squirrel.
both. But no,
Yeah.
I've heard the deer one.
Yeah. So I was riding along to down a road in Somerset, and suddenly out of the hedge jumped a deer, and I had no time to react. In fact, I literally just saw it. Fortunately, it hit just behind my front wheel, so it got stuck underneath my pedals and my cranks and everything.
goodness.
Yeah, both of us went
You mean you
across
didn't
the
have
road.
a Perspex barricade
No.
beneath your frame?
I stayed upright, but I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, I do not want to look down," because I could just see it in my mind's eye. I'd just be covered in like blood and entrails, whatever. Anyway, fortunately, when I did pluck up the courage, nothing, no sign of the deer, and it had literally like bounced off me. I'd run over its head, and it had scurried off into the other verge.
Blimey.
Yeah, I was mentally scarred for quite a long time after that. But
And there I was thinking you completely run out of anecdotes through the years.
there we go. There's that one that happened in, I think, about 2008/9. So there we go. It's only, 12 years old, that
I can't
story
believe
now.
you've never told me that story before.
Yeah, I probably had, you probably just didn't listen. Anyway, there we go. More where that came from, don't you worry.
Right, it's been a rather long Hacks and Bodges, I think. Apologies for that, but if you want to get involved ready for next week's show, just upload your Hacks and Bodges to the GCN app.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption to a photo that we're just about to give you. We'll start, as always, with last week, which was this, a photo of Marianne Vos celebrating her Amstel Gold victory. Not getting well again, as I inexplicably said last week.
And the winner is the Brown Hornet, who put caption, Vos finds out that her comments won her a GCN Elite water bottle. We
There you
would
go.
send her one, but I don't think she's got room on her trophy cabinet, or more likely her trophy room.
No,
Judging by
indeed.
how many races she's won.
Hopefully, though, Brown Hornet, that is what you're doing right now. Maybe a two-handed victory salute,
Yeah.
in fact. But get in touch on Facebook, and one of these will wing its way to you as a result. Now, if you didn't win, if you're not the Brown Hornet, don't panic, because the photo is coming up. Ooh.
This one taken from the Tour of the Alps last week. I will get you started. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the richest team of them all? That's the best I had.
See what you did there, mate?
Yeah, cheers, mate.
If you don't know what Dan's on about, zoom in on, there you go. Ineos Grenadiers
Yeah.
team car. There we
Poor
go.
effort, I know. But I know also that you can do better. So I look forward to reading your captions over the next week, at the end of which we will pick a winner.
Honestly, Dan, that's not the worst you've ever come up with, mate.
Doesn't mean it's good, but it's not the worst. We'll shortly let you know what's coming up on GCN over the next week. But first, some fantastic comments from the previous week, starting with a few underneath last week's show. Justin Osser said, you missed one. The trainer. I can only do zone 2 today. They really let you know about their personal coach and their ride plans. Whilst Felix Shaw wrote, the worst types are those that never wave or appreciate others on the road, which seems very common these days.
Bike riders have always blanked other bike riders. It's definitely not a new thing.
Well, no, there have always been some, haven't there?
Yeah.
It wasn't that every single bike rider waved before.
No, definitely. There's always been grumpy bike riders. So
But if we get to our ultimate goal, which is to have thousands and thousands more bike rides on the road, eventually it could die out, couldn't it?
Well, you've got to decide who you
car
wait
driver.
Yeah, otherwise you just ride around one-handed all the time, wouldn't you?
I mean, car drivers are down to just someone that's got the same make and model, or maybe lorry drivers from the same
Do you
supermarket.
say hello to Skoda drivers?
Yeah, only if it's a superb TFSI estate with an electric boot. Anyway, also on the show last week, Desperia Books. Hank might be the ultimate hold my beer guy, but Dan is the ultimate, sure, I'll hold it for you guy. Yeah, that's very true.
Absolutely. I tell you what, we did have some great comments under last week's show. A lot of people pointing out some very amusing types of rider. Also, it turns out a lot of you lot are lone wolves when you're riding. So anyway, that was something I picked up. Anyway, underneath de-restricted e-bike versus ex-pro cyclist, Marty Lepiev. I love that Hank calls his dad Hank's dad. It's like his new official name.
Well, that could become a running theme, couldn't it?
Yeah.
What's next? Hank's girlfriend.
Weird that Hank talks about himself in the third person as well.
That's what I mean. That's what comes next. Is it Hank's girlfriend, then Hank's baby, and then Hank's finally cracked, I guess. It might finally fatigue him, mightn't it? Meanwhile, on a more serious note from that same video, Daniel Curry wrote, "This video made me smile so much. My dad died back in 2003, and every time I see someone having fun with their parents, man, I can't describe how happy that makes me. Gotta love Hank's dad on his e-bike having a blast. Thank you, GCN." He is fantastic, Hank's dad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which we're allowed to call him.
We are, yeah. I mean, because he is Hank's dad.
Yeah.
But thanks, Daniel, for that message, actually. That's really cool. That's, really cool indeed. Right, next up, under tips for bigger riders, Graham Scott. I now understand my problem. Listening to Magnus and his weight to height ratio, I'm about 8 inches short for my weight. I'm not overweight, just under height. Oh, genius.
Yeah, it is genius, isn't it? Everybody out there with a new excuse now. I'm just a bit too short. I need to be 8'6". Right, and Edward Coupe put Bagstedt 500 plus watts for 20 minutes. Shrugs. Me, 500 plus watts for 20 seconds. Has a cardiac incident. Yeah, he did have some a bit of power in his arsenal, didn't he, Magnus Bagstedt?
My word.
Not just back in the day, even now to a degree.
Absolutely, he did, yeah.
Right, coming up over the following week, starting with Wednesday, how to find people to ride with. If you are that lone wolf, but you don't want to be, we've got some guides there for you. On Thursday, the tech show is Wake Up. We've got tech show, sorry, should I say, and then also Wake Up and Smell the Lactic, which is our brand new training session over on GCN Training. And on Friday, top tips for picking a route if you're in a new location.
Yeah.
Can make it harder, can't it?
Can you sense the post-COVID lockdown fever going on in our schedule at the minute? Find people to ride with, go somewhere you've not been before. Happy days, hopefully. Things are okay where you are.
Fingers crossed.
You should say. Right, on Saturday, beginner on an e-bike versus pro hill climber. So Freddie makes his comeback. Freddie versus Feather, the rematch. It's Andrew Feather who's got an axe to grind these days. Let's see if he can put those world tour numbers to good use. And then on Sunday, how does caffeine affect your cycling performance? A bit of a sciencey look there, courtesy of Dr. Oliver Bridgewood. So make sure you check that one out. It should be super interesting.
Meanwhile, over on GCN Plus, 2 more documentaries and films coming out this week. So we've got one about the history of the cycling jersey, and then we've got another one about how to train like a Belgian. Bernie Eisel went to Belgium, didn't he? And that is a cracking little film. Also, quite a bit of racing, and not a bit more quiet than it has been recently, but nevertheless, starting today, if you're watching the show on the day it comes out, we have the Tour de Romandy, which is 6 days long, cracking lineup of riders there. And then starting on Sunday, it's the Tour of Rwanda. No live coverage is available anywhere for that one because they're not producing it. But we do have daily 10-minute highlights of what is an 8-day race. Now, many of you will have seen those photos in the past of the Mur de Kigali, should I say, which is the capital of Rwanda. It looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Under normal times, the size of the fan and the crowd, should I say there, it's massive, isn't it? It's a cobbled 13% climb. Ooh. Presumably, we won't have the same crowds this year, but nonetheless, make sure you don't miss that.
Yeah, and in the meantime, actually, I've got to give a quick shout out to the Josh Ibbott documentary. He went bikepacking in Rwanda, and it just looks like the most incredible country to ride your bike in, doesn't it? So as a warm-up for Sunday's race, why not check that one out as well? Absolutely awesome stuff. Right, Dan, I think we've rabbited on for long enough, haven't we, probably?
Yeah, actually, we did a ceremonious closing of laptops. All hacks and bodges read out, caption winners given, giveaway winners announced as well. It's been a great show, isn't it? I've enjoyed that.
Me too, mate. Thank you very much. Right.
Actually, it's not up to me to say it's been a great show, really, is it?
Let the viewers decide that. Let us know in the comment section down below whether you agree. Well, yeah. Some of you will have watched to this point, so maybe there'll be one or two comments.
Yeah.
Rate Dan's GCN show.
Thanks for sticking with us.